What is going on, guys? Bisectatron here, bringing you today's video, and we are talking about defending at Town Hall 13. This is supposed to be a very quick, high-level, concise video. Not going to go into a ton of detail because that can often confuse people, and I want to get just kind of the basics out there. These are some guidelines, some tips you should follow when base building at Town Hall 13. There's some very, very important things to look at because right now the meta is fairly well defined at Town Hall 13. You know what people are going to try to use. We have the hybrid, we have Yeti Smash, the Yeti Blimp Bomb technique, all this stuff that's very popular at Town Hall 13. So there's certain things you can do to defend it. We're going to be taking a look at this base as an example, talking through, I guess, kind of the big three things you want to do defending at Town Hall 13. And a few other details, and then we're just going to wrap up the video. Not going to make it too long or confusing. So basic stuff. On the right side of the screen, if you're interested in getting your own custom war bases, check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. It's a monthly subscription. You get perks such as bases, attacking advice, stuff like that. There's a whole Discord server for it. So check that out if you're interested. Always got to give it a shout out if I'm doing a base building video. But having said that, I want to get into these details. First thing at Town Hall 13 is the shape of your base at the most basic level. Let me just go to view walls here. Gives you a better idea of the kind of layout of this base. You want it to be big, boxy, take up a lot of space. Now, there's the movement to have anti-2-star bases, and those can work having like a ring base or something like that. And part of the reason why they work is because they're often shaped like this. This is a good shape to have because it's going to limit the value of the siege barracks or the king or anything used on the outside of the base to kind of create the funnel and to narrow the base out. You want the base to be difficult to make narrow because if it's narrow, that's what will work well for a push with your Yeti Smash or with your hybrid. That's a big part of Town Hall 13 is the attackers trying to make your base narrow. So the shape of it should be like this. Part of the benefit of using the anti-2-star type base, like a ring base, is that they are difficult. People don't see them as much, but I'm not going to talk about them too much in this video. Those are kind of their own species of bases, but even these tips can, I guess, apply to those as well. That should be the overall design of your base. It should take up a lot of space. If it's too narrow, too tight, if there's too many grooves in the base, letting a troop like a P.E.K.K.A. or a king get too deep into the base, you need to use your walls to keep them out to prevent the value of the siege barracks. That's simple enough to do. The other thing is limit that blimp value. People love using the blimp with 2 Yetis and a rage that can take out the Town Hall, the Eagle, Inferno, plus other defenses. So if you look at this base as an example, can you come at the Town Hall where the sweeper is going to do a good job keeping the blimp from here all the way down around here. It's going to be difficult to reach the Town Hall because the sweeper is pointed like how it is. If you try to come the other side, you got 2 air defenses, a single Inferno. So I'd say it's relatively difficult on this base to use a blimp to reach the Town Hall. And that's exactly what you want. I guess you could try to drop it up by this builder hut, but we can move a Seeking Air Mine over there if you want. A lot of this is going to be testing the base, and I encourage you to test this base if you'd like. Not saying it's a great base, it's just a quick build based on some of the principles of Town Hall 13 base building, but I'll put the link to it in the description if you want to load it up and test it out yourself. Eagle on the other side, don't give them the Eagle value. Don't let them take out the Eagle with their blimp. So we have the sweeper guarding this side. Other side, we got 1 air defense, 2 air defenses, quite a bit of DPS. We got the queen. A blimp is not going to reach that Eagle very easily. I guess the best place would be to come from like the corner, and the sweeper won't engage that early, but even still, I don't see a blimp reaching the Eagle. That's good. You want to make it difficult to take out those 2 things with your blimp. Additionally, don't pack a lot of high-value buildings next to an Inferno tower where they might use the blimp. The good thing about these 2 Infernos is, yes, they can probably be blimped, but the blimp's not going to get far, and they're not going to create a very good funneling. If there's like an Inferno tower that's like an island that's on its own at some part of the base, then if they take that out, that's a very strategic point to have taken out because they're narrowing down your base. If they take out an entire chunk of it, that makes it easier to use the queen on the other side than use like hybrid between. The thing with these two multi-infernos is if they blimp one of them, there's still a bunch of stuff up around it most likely, so they're not going to be carving out that nice funneling for whatever they're going to try to do to make the base narrow. Typically going to follow up with like a hybrid or something off of that. So that's why it's good to have these multis not like on their own, still kind of surrounded by buildings in a good location, but you're not going to have certain things where they're going to get the Inferno plus the scatter shot. Don't give them those two buildings together. They can get an air defense, they can get Archer Tower, stuff like that, an Expo or two. Don't give them these really high value buildings such as the scatter shot, the Inferno Tower, the Eagle together. Keep that stuff separate. So we talked about the Blimp. You can use the sweepers, seeking air mines, queen, air defenses, all that to try to limit the Blimp value. Think about that. Anti-queen charge, big thing. People love using queen charges at Town Hall 13. This technique down here is just the double multi. It's difficult to charge either one. I mean, you can't split them. So you have to come at, I guess, them from one side or the other. But oftentimes, if the angle is awkward, the multi will pick off the healers. So if you put two of them close together, it can be difficult to queen charge that, which is the idea here. Plus, you have air defenses, defensive hero, a lot of DPS. We love the ground expos these days at Town Hall 13. They cover a lot. Up here, the purpose of a single Inferno is to stop the queen charge for the most part at Town Hall 13. That's the value of it, and that's why it's being used up here, because this would otherwise be an area where the queen charge would be very valuable. Come in, maybe get the Town Hall, maybe get the Eagle. Not a lot of coverage by the other Inferno Towers, not a lot of coverage by some of these Expos. Although they kind of are in the area, they're more geared at defending the right side of the base. So you use you use the single Inferno where you think a queen charge might be otherwise good value. You can kind of stop that because it's very difficult to charge a single Inferno. It's doable, but it's going to be less likely for someone to try it. Right side of the base, more susceptible to queen charge. They could come for the Town Hall, but we have the CC, we have this Expo, potentially this Expo, this Expo, this Expo, two scatter shots, a lot of damage over there, and also we got some seeking air mines to take out the healers. There's always going to be one side that's a little bit weaker, but you can make it difficult to have it be predictable by having a big open compartment. Don't know exactly where the queen's going to go, makes it difficult to plan out the rest of the attack. So we talk about queen charge, do your best to limit it around the base, whether it's using the Infernos, using the seeking air mines, or the walls, or something like that. Make it difficult to funnel. Sometimes the lack of walls is better than having walls because there's jump spells, wall breakers, quakes, siege machines. A lot of ways to get through walls, but sometimes it's even harder to direct your queen without some of the walls being there, so keep that in mind. Another minor thing, people love using the Warden Walk, so don't give them a free multi-Inferno with the Warden. Here we have the Royal Champ. Doesn't really need to be there, but on other bases you might have an Inferno Tower that's kind of exposed, and if the Warden is able to take out some buildings, it can reach it from beyond the wall, obviously with its range. So put your Royal Champ or your King or something over there, an air defense really close to the outside to kind of make it difficult to do a Warden Walk if there's a likely location for one. That's more of a smaller detail. Spring traps, think of where they're going to use the hybrid. In this case, I'd think they'd probably try to queen charge this side, have the hybrid kind of come here to there, like going either this way or that way. And that's why we have these springs all around the base here to, in the orientation we think the hogs and the miners are going to come through at, plus the skeleton trap to try to freeze up those miners and make it more difficult for them, as well as the hog riders have the scatter shot as well, which is difficult. Not putting it next to the eagle, not giving them the freeze value, stuff like that. And we have the Tesla farm up here, just to make it difficult for kind of a cheap Sui for the town hall, in case that gets tried. There's a lot of stuff to get through for a queen charge over here. It'll take a lot of time, if nothing else, which is an asset for a defender. It's taking up a lot of time. That's all the basics, though. I could go on more about the details of this base, but like I said, I'm going to keep it as concise as possible. Still a 10-minute video, but did my best to try to keep it short for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Feel free to test this base. Like I said, the link is in the description below. and I'll try to push out some more videos showing some replays, more details. This was just a very high-level overview. One last time, check out my Patreon if you're interested. Custom war bases, real-time attacking advice, base building advice, all included. Link is in the description. And having said that, I will see you guys next time. Bisectatron out.